Back in 2010, the Volkswagen Group was a vast empire of brands. Each had its place. Audi was the tech-savvy premium player. VW was the sensible, high-quality choice for everyone. Skoda was the clever, practical value option. And SEAT? SEAT was the sporty, youthful, slightly fiery Spanish one. The problem was, its bark was often louder than its bite. The brand needed a hero car, something to properly stick it to the establishment. It needed a machine to give it genuine performance credibility. Enter the Leon Cupra R. This wasn't just another trim level. SEAT's engineers rolled up their sleeves. The mission was clear. Make the most powerful, most focused production SEAT had built. A flag planted in the hot hatch battlefield. 265 brake horsepower. It didn't just nudge ahead, it swaggered onto the scene. Even Wolfsburg and Ingolstadt took notice. The Cupra R used the same engine as the pricier Audi S3. That was a big deal. The Spanish arm was let off the leash. It could, on paper, genuinely challenge its more prestigious relatives. It had more power than the Mark 6 Golf GTI, a front-wheel drive weapon for drivers who prioritize raw power and engagement. It was a gamble, stepping on the toes of German cousins, but a calculated risk. SEAT needed a jolt of adrenaline, a halo car, low volumes, big performance spotlight for the brand. Built for the enthusiast who understands what's under the bonnet. A proper hot hatch for people who love to drive. Yeah. At the heart of the Cupra R lies a true gem of an engine. The venerable EA113, a 2.0-litre turbocharged four-cylinder unit, a direct injection motor with a belt-driven camshaft. This wasn't the newer chain-driven EA888 found in the standard GTI. This was the older, tougher, more tunable block from the previous Mark 5 GTI and, crucially, the Audi S3. In this application, it was tweaked to produce a mighty 265 brake horsepower and a hefty 350 Newton-meters of torque. This was serious firepower for a front-wheel drive car in 2010, giving it a sub-6-second 0 to 60 miles per hour time and a relentless pull through the gears that felt genuinely quick, even by today's standards. Power is nothing without control, and SEAT's engineers knew they had to do more than just drop in a big engine. The Cupra R's chassis received a thorough going over compared to the standard Leon. The suspension was significantly firmer, with revised spring rates and dampers designed to reduce body roll and sharpen the car's responses. The ride height was dropped, lowering the center of gravity and giving it a more purposeful, hunkered-down stance. It was a setup that prioritized agility and cornering poise. While it felt stiffer and more connected on a smooth B road, it was never so harsh as to be unbearable for the daily commute. One of the most significant decisions was the gearbox. While rivals like the Golf GTI and S3 were available with the slick, dual-clutch DSG automatic, the Cupra R was offered exclusively with a 6-speed manual. This was a deliberate choice, a nod to the purist, a signal that this car was about maximum driver involvement. The manual shift was positive and direct, creating a mechanical connection between the driver and the machine that no automated box of the era could truly replicate. It forced you to be part of the action, to time your shifts and engage with the process of driving fast, making the whole experience feel more raw and rewarding. The rest of the package was similarly focused. The brakes were uprated to larger 345mm discs at the front and 286mm discs at the rear, providing the necessary stopping power to haul the car down from serious speeds. It wore sticky 235 section tires on distinctive 19-inch Potenza alloy wheels. Every mechanical component was chosen to support the car's primary mission, to be an exceptionally fast and engaging driver's car. It was a cohesive package where the engine, chassis, brakes and transmission all worked in harmony to deliver a thrilling, old-school hot hatch experience with a modern twist. You know, it really was. Deploying 265 horsepower through just the front wheels is a recipe for chaos. Without some clever electronics or a proper mechanical differential, all that power would simply spin away at the inside wheel when accelerating out of a tight corner, resulting in frustrating understeer wheel spin. SEAT's solution was the XDS system, an extended electronic differential lock. Now, this wasn't a true limited slip differential. It was a smart piece of software that used the car's existing anti-lock braking stability control hardware to mimic the effect of one. So how does it work? In simple terms, when you're cornering hard and on the power, the XDS system detects the inside front wheel starting to spin up. Before it becomes a problem, the system applies a tiny, precise amount of brake pressure to that specific wheel. This has two effects. First, it slows the spinning wheel. Second, it diverts more engine torque to the outside wheel, which has more grip. The result, the car pulls itself around the corner more effectively, feeling sharper and resisting the urge to push wide. On the road, the effect of XDS is subtle but noticeable. You don't feel a clunk or a jolt like some mechanical diffs. Instead, you can get on the power earlier and harder on exit. It gives the front end tenacity, letting the driver trust the line. It helps tame torque steer that plagues powerful FWD cars, making the Cupra R feel more composed and less of a handful when pushing. Of course, it's not perfect. A proper plate-style mechanical LSD would arguably give better traction and a more natural feel, especially on a racetrack. The XDS system, by using the brakes, can also lead to increased brake pad wear and heat if you're doing lap after lap. But for a road car, it was a brilliant compromise. It delivered much of the benefit of a mechanical LSD at a fraction of the cost and weight. It was a key piece of tech that let the Cupra R deploy its power and cement its reputation as a sharp-handling driver's machine. Yeah. Unlike some of its more flamboyant rivals, the SEAT Leon Cupra R didn't scream about its performance credentials from a mile away. The styling was a lesson in subtlety. It took the already handsome MK2 Leon shape, swooping lines, and hidden rear door handles. There was no massive rear wing and no over-the-top body kit. Instead, a more mature, purposeful look, a car for those who knew. At the front, a more aggressive bumper. Larger air intakes hinted at cooling for the turbo engine. The letter R was subtly placed on the black honeycomb grille. Along the side, gorgeous 19-inch alloy wheels. Gloss black mirror caps were another clue. At the rear, a gloss black diffuser, a large central oval exhaust pipe, and a slightly larger than standard roof spoiler completed the look. It separated it from a lesser Leon diesel without looking boy racerish. Inside, focused sportiness continued. Deeply bolstered sport seats, quilted leather available as an option, a flat-bottomed leather-wrapped steering wheel sat ahead, perforated grip and an R logo up close. Clear, simple dials, a 180 mile/hour speedometer. White stitching and gloss black trim pieces lifted the ambience. It felt functional and driver-focused, not a luxury lounge. The ergonomics were spot on. Everything where you expected it to be. This understated approach was the Cupra R's appeal, a Q car, a sleeper. It could slip through traffic without drawing undue attention. Use it for the school run or a trip to the supermarket. But find an empty, twisting road, and it would transform into a ferocious performance machine. That quiet confidence made it a more grown-up choice in a noisy market. It was, a quietly confident performer. The hot hatch market of the late 2010s and early 2010s was brutally competitive. The Cupra R didn't just have to be good, it had to be exceptional to stand out. Its most obvious rival came from within its own family, the Volkswagen Golf GTI. The GTI was the default choice, the benchmark. It was refined, well-built, and had a classless image. However, the Cupra R held a significant trump card: power. With 265 bhp, it monstered the GTI's 208 bhp, offering a completely different level of straight-line performance for a similar or even lower price. Another in-house competitor was the Audi S3. The S3 shared the Cupra R's potent engine, but it delivered its power through a sophisticated Haldex all-wheel drive system. This gave the Audi an all-weather traction advantage, making it quicker off the line, especially in wet conditions. However, the S3 was significantly more expensive, heavier, and some would argue, less engaging to drive. The Cupra R, being front-wheel drive and manual only, offered a purer, more challenging experience. Looking outside the VW group, the main contender was the Ford Focus RS. The MK2 RS was a monster, a 301 bhp, 5-cylinder beast with a trick Revo knuckle front suspension system and a reputation for hooliganism. The Focus was more powerful and more overtly aggressive in its styling. It was the extrovert of the group. The Cupra R, by contrast, was the more discreet operator. It couldn't quite match the Ford's raw theatre or ultimate front-end grip, but it was a more comfortable daily driver and offered a different flavour of performance, less brute force, more nimble precision. It was a choice between a sledgehammer and a rapier. Then there was the Renault Sport Megane 250 Cup. The Megane was regarded as one of the finest handling front-wheel drive cars ever made, especially in its Cup chassis guise with a proper mechanical limited slip differential. It was the track day enthusiast's choice, a car renowned for its incredible chassis balance and feedback. The Cupra R was arguably a better all-rounder, more practical with its 5 doors and a slightly more compliant ride, but the Renault had the edge in ultimate driver engagement. The SEAT had to carve its niche by offering explosive power, sharp handling, daily usability at a very compelling price point. The SEAT Leon Cupra R was never destined for the top of the sales charts. It was a niche product from the very start. SEAT knew it wouldn't sell in the same numbers as a Golf GTI or even a standard Leon TDI. The price was competitive for the performance on offer, but it put the car at the very top of the SEAT range, manual only. Front drive configuration limited its audience. Its primary purpose wasn't to generate massive profits directly, it was to act as a halo car. Its job, elevate the perception of the entire SEAT brand, make every other car in the showroom seem that little bit more exciting. In this role, the Cupra R was a resounding success. It generated glowing reviews from the motoring press, immense power, sharp handling, giant-killing performance. It proved that SEAT could build a genuinely world-class hot hatch. This had a powerful ripple effect. People who may never have considered a SEAT started to pay attention. The Cupra R put the brand on the map for performance enthusiasts. That created a buzz and desirability that trickled down to the more affordable Cupra FR models. It was a marketing tool as much as it was a car. Its influence on the brand's future cannot be overstated. It laid the foundation for the standalone Cupra brand. The Cupra R and its successors built a sub-brand identity around performance, style, a rebellious spirit. It showed a strong market for high-performance seats, giving SEAT confidence to invest in faster, more focused models. Without the credibility of cars like the 2010 Cupra R, spinning Cupra off in 2018 would have been much harder to justify. Today, its rarity is part of its appeal. Because it wasn't a mass-market seller, finding a clean, well-cared-for example is increasingly difficult. Many were driven hard, modified, or neglected over the years. This scarcity, plus its historical significance as a peak performance seat, fuels interest in the used market. It stands as a testament to when SEAT could flex its engineering muscles. A car more than the sum of its VW group parts. A car with a distinct, fiery Spanish character. Is the 2010 SEAT Leon Cupra R a modern classic? It's a question that's beginning to pop up more and more in enthusiast circles. Right now, it sits in an interesting limbo. It's too new to be a true classic, but it's old enough to evoke a certain nostalgia for the peak era of the internal combustion hot hatch. Current market prices reflect this. As of late 2025, you can find tired, high-mileage examples for as little as £3,000, but pristine, low-mileage cars with impeccable history are now commanding prices upwards of £9,000 to £11,000. This widening gap between the rough and the cherished is a classic sign of a car beginning its journey to collectability. Several factors work in the Cupra R's favour. First is its rarity and its status as a halo model. It was the ultimate expression of the Mk2 Leon. Second is its engine. The EA113 is a beloved unit, known for its strength and tunability. Third, its manual-only gearbox makes it a purist's choice, something that will become increasingly desirable as manual performance cars disappear entirely. As we move into an electrified future, analog, engaging, and powerful petrol cars like this are destined to be more sought after. For many, it represents a high watermark for accessible, front-wheel drive performance before technology became overly complex. However, there are also arguments against it achieving top-tier classic status. The lack of a true mechanical limited-slip differential, and the absence of a four-wheel drive option might hold it back for some collectors, compared to rivals like the Megane RS or the Audi S3. Furthermore, the SEAT badge, despite the Cupra R's best efforts, has never held the same cachet as Volkswagen. Audi, that brand perception can impact long-term value appreciation. Its understated styling means it doesn't have the same iconic visual presence as a Mk2 Focus RS, for example. It remains a more subtle connoisseur's choice. Ultimately, the Cupra R's future looks bright, if not stratospheric. It's unlikely to ever reach the dizzying heights of something like a Lancia Delta Integrail, but it is firmly on the path to becoming a respected and sought-after modern classic. It offers a huge amount of performance for the money, a genuinely engaging driving experience, and a significant place in the history of its brand.